Howdy hackers, and welcome to another episode of FairLight TV. If you feel that I have a bit less energy than normal at this point in the video, you might be right, because I'm rather freshly back from X in Holland, the magnificent party that takes place like every 2 years, but due to Corona, it's been 5 years since the last one, and well, the good news is that they will have one coming up next year, so it might be a yearly event from now on. But anyways, it's been my first, and I have no good reason why I haven't gone before, because it was one of the best few days in my C64 career. I met so many super nice people that I've been mailing with and chatting with, but never met in person. Now I've met so many of them in person. It was brilliant. Yeah, and a number of people that I actually have met, but haven't met in a very long time. I had the opportunity to reconnect with, like CBA and Burglar and the guys in the Orga team. They were of course there, and I had a chance to meet them. Super great, super great. So we will need more time to actually make a full and final video of this. But in order to give you something already now, we are going to drop 3 videos. 3 of the events that we could isolate and quickly drop to you, because they sort of make sense to give you as soon as possible. So this is the first one. This is the interview that Antti Flex of Artline Studio is having with Rob Hubbard. There is a bit of piece in the end as well. Might possibly, hopefully, Torsten can add a bit of the pictures there as well, where there was a meet and greet and people could bring their stuff to Rob Hubbard for like a quick talk, and he would sign something for them. So this is the first of the 3 with Rob the Man Hubbard.
Team is now going to introduce the legendary.
We prepared for
Sir
X 2020.
Rob
We
Hubbard.
wanted to make it really special, to have a very special guest to celebrate our 25th anniversary. But we got some delay, and now I am very proud to bring you the one and only Rob Hubbard. Okay guys, the legend, the man, Mr. Rob Hubbard. Okay, hello everyone, I'm Flex. I have the honor to be here talking with the legend himself, Mr. Rob Hubbard. Rob, was that anything you expected?
Not at all, no, it's mind-blowing.
Okay, there's lots and lots of guys there who's been growing with your music, you know. Is there anyone who has never heard of Mr. Rob Hubbard? Who are you? Okay, but hey, at first, to make it clear, this is the hardcore of the Commodore 64 demo scene. There are veterans from the 80s and
Like myself, when I was a young kid, I grew up listening to your music. But do you have any idea in how many demo scene products your music has been used?
No, not at all.
Because I made the calculation. It was almost in 7,000 demo productions. Oh well, so that proves that you made an impact.
I think I actually did a couple of demos myself in the 80s as well, so that's 7,002.
Okay, let's count a couple more. But hey, our time is limited anyway. We're going to have some questions from the audience later on. But let's begin from the early years. So, what is the basic story in your background? What brought you into computers in the first place, and specifically why composing came that important part?
Have we got 2 days to answer that?
Make it short, please, if you can.
Well, the short story is that working as a musician, all the electronics magazines were saying about computers were going to be the big thing, and I was keen to get into it, and I researched, what machine to buy, and I saved up some money from doing gigs, and the popular machine at the time was the BBC Acorn, which was popular, but I didn't like that. And then Commodore came out with the 64, which had 64K memory. We used to advertise that with an elephant, and it had the SID chip. And so it became a bit of a no-brainer, and I just dived in with a C64. That was my first machine that I basically learned. And I spent many hours till 5 o'clock in the morning struggling to learn the machine, because there was no internet back then. There was no kind of there was no people you could phone up to ask how a non-maskable envelope worked. You had to try to just figure it out yourself. And through learning software and trying to do a game and writing music, I kind of came to the conclusion that music should be the thing that I should do. I did a few mail outs, and eventually I got a couple of gigs. And then after somewhere around about the thing on a spring period, things started to take off, and that's what I did.
Okay, you pretty much answered the next question, which was about how to learn to program on those days, but it was through trial and error pretty much also.
There was a book called Dr. Watson's 6502 or something like that, which had all weird, non-standard 6502 mnemonics, which I had to unlearn the proper ones. You buy a book on this stuff, and then you figure out, what the instructions do, and try to learn about the stuff, and you start poking bytes into memory at 49152, which I think is C1000, if I remember right. And doing SYS 49152, and then seeing the machine freeze. Reload from tape. 2 hours later, having not shot yourself, you do it again.
Okay, but you really had to be a good programmer in those days to actually get anything out from the machine. You had no editors, no one actually had
No.
assembly code, and that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, I remember using Commodore Basic, which is an interpreted language. First thing I did was move a sprite across the screen in Basic, and it just kind of stuttered like that. And then I tried writing some music in BASIC, and it sounded like somebody was dyslexic, musically dyslexic or something. Either that or they drank 10 pints of Guinness. It was just staggering and it was dreadful, you know. So when I put a sprite in machine code, the thing just zipped across the screen. And I thought, okay. And once you figure out what the interrupts are doing, then the floodgates open as to, you know, what you can do when you've got something that's happening, you know, 50 times a second.
So you always coded your own music routines and...
Yeah, there was no tools, you know.
Yeah. How many different versions are there from your music routine? You enhanced it, of course, during the years.
Well, what happened was, from the earlier days, you have a more kind of a basic routine if you look at some of the earlier tunes, and then things are constantly progressing, so you're always trying to add something and think of something different. You know, you start off at I think I did something called Up and Away or something like that, with really early kind of simple thing. And then you end up with something like arcade classics, which is it's all developed from the earlier routines, you know. But the basic premise is still the same.
Yes, so you never wrote an editor for your music routines?
No, not at all. The editor was basically what we used to call dot byte statements. So you would put dot byte, and then hexadecimal E3, comma, 07, you know. I used to know all the numbers, so like hexadecimal 34 was a C. The octave above that I think was like hexadecimal 40, and then the one above that was 4C, I think. And then, you know, so I used to know all the numbers for the musical pitches.
Yeah, but you have made a lot of long tunes that last many minutes, but how did you keep yourself on track by making that long tunes? What was your method? You always didn't start from the beginning.
Yeah, my thinking was that, you know, if you've got a tune that is only like a minute 30 long, it's going to drive people nuts. You know, so it's going to keep repeating, and people are going to say, what the hell is that thing coming out, you know, that music out your bedroom? It's going to drive people mad. So, I mean, my thinking at the time was, I have to write, you know, maybe, you know, 5 different contrasting sections to make it more interesting for people, so that you don't get so bored with it. That's how we kind of, things ended up getting longer and longer.
Okay, then about the game industry. How did you get your first assignment to make music for games?
Well, after I tried working, doing a game, and that didn't turn out very well. And they said I should try to do music. And so I did a mail out. I used to go through all the magazines for what we call software houses. They had like adverts in all the, you know, the Commodore user and all the magazines. And I did a mail out and never got anything. And then I did like cassettes and demos and stuff. And then I was literally on the verge. I was that close to basically saying, okay, I'm going to have to work in a supermarket. And my wife, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, she said, no, just give it one more chance, you know. Okay, I'll do another mail out. And if nothing happens, you know, I'm going to have to, you know, work in a supermarket or something, you know. And I did another mail out, and that's what led to somebody giving me a couple of jobs.
I think my mic is a little bit too loud. It's starting to sound bad. Yeah, you can put it a bit down, I guess. But about the so-called golden years, you made lots of different kinds of synth music, but what was your inspiration? Kind of, you know, you did listen to some kind of music, you were fan of some music style which could be heard in your music, or what got you inspired?
So people are meeting their childhood heroes. So Rob Hubbard is having a long meet and greet queue where people are bringing their stuff for signing and whatever. Over there. The coolest one is of course the one that LFT brought. LFT, as you know from the interview you've seen on FairLight TV, has a Thermin and a homemade one. And guess what he had Rob sign? Yes, no home is complete without one of those with Rob Hubbard's signature on it. It's so funny. It's so funny.